Good morning. This is one of these mornings that this conversation could go anywhere. Well, it's not a conversation, it's a monologue, but it could go any direction because it's one of those nights I was in bed early and the brain doesn't stop when you're thinking about things. And I was thinking that time is the most precious thing we have. But yet, like, it was Seneca that said, uh, uh, be stingy with your time, and Epictetus that said that if you're going to sell your time, whatever you do, don't sell it cheap because it's the most precious thing we have. But you see, these things, you see, when people are teaching Stoicism and everything else, they tend to teach it very much in the way of Christianity and all this, that they box into rules, and they box into rules. I seen what's his name, Ryan Holiday, coming on yesterday saying Stoics don't do this and Stoics don't do that. Stoics do this. These are 7 no's for Stoics. So if you want to be a Stoic, you don't do this. Now, these are rules. And the most important thing in Stoicism, the most important thing is to live in accordance with nature. And the first thing you have to do, and if you want to live in accordance with nature, you have to understand nature. And the second thing is you have to know your own nature. You have to live according to your own nature. And then you can establish your own values and define your own morality conducive to your goals, which they don't seem to have a very good concept of virtue, because they seem to think that virtue is very much like Christianity and what it is to be a good person, and what it is to be a good person. If you go around and lick everybody's arse and don't be seen to be doing that, that's not virtuous. That's not virtuous. This is what you call virtue signaling. I seen more virtue signaling going on yesterday, where they were talking about philanthropy, you know what I mean? And basically, don't seek to have too much wealth because it can poison your mind. Seneca was one of the richest men. He was richer than the Roman army. He had a greater wealth than the Roman army. Seneca was a seriously rich man. And I never read anything about being a philanthropist. So this is complete wank. Do you know what I'm saying? Complete wank. Basically, we all have different roles and we all have different natures and we're all individuals. So take this, what I'm trying to say is very much like, well, as Nietzsche said, you must have chaos in your soul to give rise to a dancing star. Now, if you start to unravel the ambiguities of life, the dancing really comes into it in a big way. In a big way, I can play you songs all day about dancing, and about a dancing star. That's your soul. If your soul is so happy it's dancing, this is serious fucking energy. If your soul is so happy it's dancing, by Jesus, this is big energy. This is big energy. I tell you one thing, you won't be staying in the fucking bed anyway, I assure you that. But you need chaos in your soul for this. You need chaos in your soul for this. That's if you have a soul. I'm seriously beginning to doubt the sheep of any soul, because they have a universal soul. They have the universe. They haven't aspired to that level. I sat all day yesterday and I thought about the different gemstones and the analogy and the relationship to nature. But it's the very same thing, like people say we're all equal, but we're not all equal, because that's like saying all rocks are equal, and all rocks are not equal. For example, what colour is a rock? And rocks are plentiful. Rocks are grey and black and brown. And then you have gemstones, which are technically rocks, but they have a higher value. And this is not like, we don't create the concepts. But they have a higher value for a reason. They take years and years of pressure and different to form a gemstone, like a sapphire, a ruby, an emerald, a diamond, and takes years and years of pressure to form them, and then they have to be polished using trials, and this is what makes them fucking expensive, and not just like an ordinary rock, which there's plenty of rocks, and they haven't undergone, they're not around such a long time, they haven't undergone such immense pressure, and they're definitely and whatever they're worth, they're worth more, they're of a higher value, if you get my meaning, when they're polished, to reflect light. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. and then they're valuable. They're valuable for a reason. And then you can have the fake shit, but the fake shit is just really well, you have to question the purpose of the fake shit, but really what it is it calls into question your ability to be able to distinguish the good from the bad, doesn't it? But that's real and that's fake. Like, if you can't tell a fake shit from real shit, like, well, it says a lot about you, does it not? No, I think it does. Well, it's a lack of knowledge, maybe. We could say it's a lack of knowledge. We could put down to a lack of knowledge. But let's get back to time, and we'll talk about my time. Everything is how you use it. Everything is how you use it. And you have to think about how you're using it. And if you follow the usual bullshit analogy like that, charge money for your time, this is not the best strategy. It's not the best strategy. And I'm going to explain why. When I used to have the gym, different people used to come to me for training, and I didn't take them all, but I didn't take the ones that were easy to work with, like the good physiques, the good genetics, because anybody can do that shit. I used to take the ones that were really hard to change. People who were fat, people who were odd shapes, maybe people who were just hadn't got the best attitude but were prepared to put the work in. And this was the most important thing. The people that were prepared to put the fucking work in, the people were prepared to dig in and do the work. And in order to separate the wheat from the chaff, because the wheat has to be separated from the chaff, or else I was just wasting my time, I used to insist on training everybody. Those who came to me for personal training, I used to train them from the get-go as hard as ever I could, and most of them didn't come back because I used to really insist, and I pulled out every method and every technique, including the fast out, slow back, everything, because that really taxes the muscle. That really gets the most out of the muscle when you drive out and slow back. And I used to do this on the first training session to make sure that they'd be lying in the bed that night, maybe not that night, but the next night. Yeah, it used to be a delayed onset, but and it'd feel like a train hit them. And then we'd see what they were made of, whether they came back or they didn't come back. I remember one girl, like I was training her for a show. I remember one girl, and she asked me to train her for a show, and we only had a limited amount of time. And I used to, I went down my way I put in a lot of time, but she trained really, really hard, and I knew well she was fucking. Sometimes she used to be about 3 or 4 minutes late, and I'd be standing outside the gym in the morning because I'd be opening the gym, and I'd look at the watch like this, and I'd say, if she's not fucking coming now, she can fuck right off. And next thing she'd come around the corner, and I'd just start laughing, and I'd just say to myself, I can't fucking believe she'd come back for more. But she won everything. She fucking won everything. This is what you call a serious work ethic, and this is what I look for in people. People who are prepared to fucking dig in. This is separating the wheat from the fucking chaff. And in order to find these people, to find the people who really fucking wanted it, I used to just charge a small amount of money. A token amount of money. Some people none. But I used to say charge 10 euro, and I didn't really care if I got it or not, because I never really cared about the fucking money. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. And I used to charge a token amount because I used to say nobody appreciates anything you get for nothing. So I used to charge a token amount, like the usual was 40, 50 quid an hour. I used to charge 10 euro an hour, and I didn't really care about the fucking 10 quid. If you had 10 quid, it was grand. If you didn't have it, that was grand too. As long as you're putting the work in, and that's all I cared about. But the thing is, I used to say to them then, some of them used to get a little bit complacent about a week in, they start to laugh and grin. And I used to say, like I remember one time, I said to them, Do you think you pay me to come here and lick your arse? Do you think you pay me to come here and lick your arse? How bad do you think I am for your tenor, like? How bad do you think I am for your tenor? You know what I mean? But this was the thing. If I was charging them, if I had a business mindset, and I was charging them, say, 50, because the first thing we used to agree on was I was the best. And I was the best. And I was the best for a reason, because I didn't lick your arse. And that's what made me the best. I put you through hell. And this is where the results were. I used to say, if you want to change a body, you have to hit it with a hammer and you have to hit it hard. And this is the same as the Japanese sword. But by Jesus, you have to hit it hard. If you want results, you have to hit it hard. This is hard fucking training. And that's the way you change a fucking body. And I used to say it takes 3 months to change a body. Same for a mind. But you have to hit it hard. You have to hit it hard. Anyway. And for this, you needed a person with a certain amount of carbon content, somebody that could take this sort of punishment. So it wasn't for everybody. And I accepted this, that it wasn't for everybody, but why would I waste my fucking time on people that I could get no result of? What was in that for me? What was in that for me? Nothing. And all I wanted was, well, I strive for excellence. I strive for excellence. To be able to stand back from my work and say to myself, oh, I'm fucking good. That's fucking good work. That's fucking really good work. I'm fucking good. Basically, and then this in itself was the advertising. This was the advertising. These people walking around the town, this was the advertising. And even though it was a little bit longer term than most people's gyms, my gym was a busy fucking gym. Now, what else was I going to say to you? Yeah, and then I remember, I'm nearly out of time, and I'll tell you about hitting it hard. I remember one time. There was a fella came to me, a fat fella. He used to own a pizzeria down in Kilkenny, so he drove 30 or 40 miles to train with me. And I took him on and I said, yeah, I'll take you on, yeah. But that's who I used to say to him, you know what I mean? Other trainers, because he was no shortage of money, he used to pay other trainers, but they were afraid to lose his custom. So they used to say, oh, that's great, that's wonderful, try a little bit harder maybe, one more. But I used to say, I remember one time, he was doing a shoulder press like this. And I used to pick the weight, because I used to say, I didn't allow them to pick the weight. I picked the weight. I used to gauge what I think they could do. And they pressed 3 reps of it. And he left down the bar. And I said to him, your face didn't even change colour. You made absolutely no fucking effort. There wasn't even a colour change in your face. I says, do you think I'm so bad for your fucking tenor? Did I come in here to look at that shit? I said, pick up that bar and knock 10 reps out of that. I said, get the fuck out to that door and don't come back. Wasting my fucking time. And he picked up the bar and did about 9 reps. And he did get the colour change in the face. He was nearly crying. But he did 9 reps. And then he came in another day. And he told me, I said, well, how was your evening, And he said, oh, it was great. He said, I was dipping my cookies in my milk and watching a film. Dipping cookies in the milk and watching a film. Dipping the cookies in the milk. I said, oh, yeah, dipping the cookies in the milk. Well, I trained him as hard as ever you can, and then I hung him on the bar at the end of it like this. I'd hung him on the bar at the end of it like that, and I said to him, do 3 pull-ups. Now, he was fat now, about 19 stone weight. And he went to do this, and he could do an inch one like this, and he was nearly crying in the bar because the whole gym was looking, because I told him, make some sort of a fucking effort. You know what I mean? He said, oh, I can't do a pull-up. And I said, make some sort of a fucking effort. And he was able to do an inch one. He did about 3 little inch ones like that. And I said, that'll do. As long as you make some sort of a fucking effort. But if you don't make the fucking effort, you'll never be able to do them. But again, he'd be nearly crying. But I got a result out of him. And I taught him self-confidence. And I taught him work ethic. And I taught him fucking a lot of fucking things. And he gave me a car then at the end of it. He gave me a BMW fucking coupe. And that was a beautiful fucking car to drive. They're a fucking pure driving machine, I'll tell you that. Because yesterday I was talking about you get what you pay for it. If you buy a BMW, I'll tell you it's a driving machine. There's a difference. There's a big fucking difference, like. German engineering, it can't be fucking bad. Well, the Germans tell me it's all changing now, but German engineering in general couldn't be bad. I had a couple of minis as well. They were fucking BMW's class driving machine. Class yoke to drive, class. And there's a distinction to be made. And this is again, there's a distinction to be made. The BMW, for example, like people that say, oh, this gets me made to be, yeah, that's fucking grand. But there's a distinction to be made. You have to be able to put a value on these things. You have to be able to establish the value of things. And that includes someone's fucking time. And the reason I didn't charge any so do you know what I'm saying? Even though I didn't charge them money, it was up to them to realise that the fucking level of training they were getting was by far superior than someone licking their fucking arse for fear of losing their fucking 50 quid or their 60 quid. But basically, do you understand what I'm saying? And that's why I do the same here. I don't give a fuck about your money. I give a fuck about results. I give a fuck about results. And I give a fuck about results because if you're no good to me and you're no good to me, you're not conducive to my goal. You're not conducive to my goal. Out from me. The wheat has to be separated from the chaff. And I don't belong separating the wheat from the chaff. Good night, Barn. Good luck.